Did you know that while everyone was scrolling through their phones this week, a group of very powerful people made a massive decision about your money? In a quiet room in Switzerland, the leaders of all the world's banks signed a brand new set of rules. These rules begin this Monday morning. For decades, banks have been selling paper gold and pretending it was real, but they never actually had the shiny metal bars sitting in their vaults. Now the rules say the game is over. Banks are being forced to buy the real stuff, and it is going to make gold and silver prices explode. It might also make it much harder for your family to get a loan. This is like musical chairs, and the music is about to stop. While you were busy looking at the stock market this week, a group of very important people met in a city called Basel, Switzerland. They made a big decision behind closed doors. This is not just a story or a guess. It is a real rule that they signed. And as soon as the banks open on Monday morning, this rule starts for everyone. They did not make a big announcement because they didn't want people to get scared and run to the banks, but they know that the way money works is about to change forever. If you have any money in a bank, this affects you. The group in charge is called the BIS. You can think of them as the super boss of all the banks in the world. They even tell the Federal Reserve what to do. They just started the final part of a plan called Basel III, and it changes the whole game. Here is the simple way to understand it. For 40 years, big banks have been playing a game of pretend. They sold pieces of paper that said gold or silver on them, and everyone acted like they were real. A bank would give you a receipt for a gold bar, but they did not actually have that bar locked in their safe. They were just selling you a promise. But starting this Monday, that lie will not work anymore. To understand why this is bad for the banks, you have to see how they count their money. Before now, a bank could hold these paper promises and tell the government they were safe. It cost the banks almost nothing to hold these papers. This let them control the price of gold and silver. They could sell billions of dollars of silver they did not even own, just to keep the price low. The new rule changes a special math problem called the net stable funding ratio. I know that sounds like a boring school word, but stay with me. This is where your money is in danger. This new math makes it very, very expensive for banks to hold on to paper promises instead of real metal. It punishes banks for making bets that prices will go down. It forces them to make a choice. Either go out and buy the real heavy, shiny metal bars to back up their bets, or quit the market completely. They made this rule to stop a giant money crash like the one in 2008. But by doing this, they started a fire. Big banks like JP Morgan and Citibank cannot make these bets anymore without using huge piles of real cash. The cost to control the price just went way up. It used to be free to keep silver prices low. Now it costs a whole fortune. We are already seeing what happens when these rules change. Banks are quietly trying to fix their accounts in the middle of the night. They are in a big rush to follow the rules before the Monday deadline. This is making the price of gold and silver go up because the banks are all trying to buy at once. It is not just regular people buying. It is the banks trying to save themselves from getting in trouble. But here is the secret part. The rules now say gold is way safer than it used to be. Yesterday, the people in charge thought gold was a risky thing to own, kind of like a stock that moves up and down. But starting Monday, gold is a Tier 1 asset. That means it is now seen as top-tier safety, just like real cash or money from the government. Think about how that changes a banker's mind. Before, they wanted to sell gold to keep the price down. Now, the rules make them want to buy gold to make their bank look stronger. They are moving from hiding the price to wanting to keep all the gold for themselves. When the biggest sellers in the world suddenly become the biggest buyers, the price does not just go up, it stays up. This explains why the markets acted so weird last week. The market just stopped moving for a bit. It was not a computer mistake. It was the people who run the market stepping back. They stopped selling because they knew this rule was coming. They did not want to be on the wrong side when the new laws started. They were fixing their computers for a new world where real metal is king. And the banks are not the only ones watching. Big companies like Tesla and Samsung are very smart. They know that if the banks stop selling fake paper, the price is going to grow very fast because there is a real need for it. We are seeing these companies start to panic and buy up all the silver they can find. Right now, it is a big race. On one side, you have factories that need silver for cars and phones. On the other side, you have banks that need silver to follow the rules. There is not enough silver for both of them. The Western countries are finally admitting they lost. China has been doing this for a long time. They only trade real metal you can touch. By making this rule, Western leaders are admitting that the paper game was dangerous, and real metal is the only true way to be safe. So, why does this matter to you? It makes the bank safer, but it might hurt the value of the money in your pocket. To buy the gold and silver they need, banks have to sell other things like dollars. This puts a lot of pressure on the dollar. Think of it like a seesaw. As gold and silver go up, the power of the dollar goes down. This means that as gold gets more expensive, your savings might not buy as much stuff as they used to. There is also a special danger if you have an account where the bank just promises they have silver for you. The bank now has a reason to close your account because holding your paper promise is a problem for them. Do not be surprised if you get a letter next week saying the bank is stopping its gold program and sending you a check for the cash instead. You will not hear about these boring math rules on the nightly news. It is too hard for most people to understand. But this is like the plumbing of the whole money world. The news will talk about prices jumping around, but they will not tell you why. The reason is simple. The time of pretend paper money is over, and the time of owning real things has begun. This is a huge moment in history. It is just as important as the year 1971, which was when the president told the world our money would no longer be backed by gold. For 50 years, the government moved us away from metal. Now, they are making a giant U-turn. They are returning to a system based on gold, even if they are not using that name. The big bankers know the system is shaking, so they are getting the lifeboats ready. And those boats are made of gold and silver. Because the banks are stopping their tricks, we are finally going to see what gold and silver are truly worth. In the short term, things might look like a mess. We might see prices jump up and down as the people who made bad bets try to fix their mistakes. But in the long run, the price has to rise. It has to reach a level where there is enough real metal for everyone who wants it, without all those fake paper promises making it worth less. That price is much higher than what we see today. But there is a catch. This rule hits your wallet in a way you might not expect. Because banks have to keep more real money and metal, they will have less money to lend to regular people. This creates a credit crunch. Starting Monday, it will be harder to get a loan for a house or for a business. The money faucet is being turned off. This makes the economy slow down, but the government will try to fix it by printing more money. A slow economy plus more money printing usually leads to something called stagflation, which is a fancy word for a really tough time for regular people. In a time like this, you do not want to own stocks or bonds. You want to own silver. When the economy gets this way, the smart move is to do what the banks are doing. If the banks are being forced to hold real metal, you should hold real metal too. Do not bet against the people who run the banks. The wind is blowing toward things you can actually touch. They passed the law and the rules have changed. Monday morning is the start of a brand new time. The banks are rushing to follow the rules, and the supply of real metal is getting very small. This is not a made-up story. It is a giant reset for the world's money. The paper game is over, and the real game has started. But there is a trap here. It is a situation where following the law might actually make some banks go broke. For many years, the big gold market in London had a cheat code. It let them count paper gold as a super safe asset. It was like a magic trick that let banks lend out the same bar of gold many times. It was a giant pyramid scheme. The new Basel III rule deletes that cheat code. It says that for gold to be safe, it has to be allocated. That means the metal must be sitting right there in the vault. No more IOU notes. This forces the banks in London to rush to find real metal bars. The days of banks pretending they have gold are ending. When everyone wants their real gold at once, the vaults will empty out faster than we have ever seen. This makes trading certain things very expensive. We expect to see many big investment groups get into trouble. They will not be able to borrow money for cheap anymore, and they will have to close their bets. This short squeeze will be caused by the bank rules, not just by people being excited about the price. The big whales already know this is happening. These are big groups of money from places like the Middle East and Asia. They have been getting ready for this for 2 years. They knew that once gold became a top-tier asset, its value would have to go up. Now that the rule is live, expect them to buy even more. While the rules are mostly about gold, silver wins too, because they are like brothers and sisters. They usually move together. As gold becomes the most important money for banks again, silver will become the most important money for regular people. Investors will soon realize that silver is just the cheaper sibling of gold. We are watching the world go back to using precious metals as real money again. Back to that trap I mentioned. These rules were meant to make banks safer, but right now they make them very easy to hurt. Many banks do not have enough real metal to follow the rules. To get it, they have to buy it from the market. But their buying makes the price go up. And since they still have bets that the price will stay low, the high price actually hurts them. They are trapped in a circle. To follow the law, they have to hurt themselves. The government will probably have to print more money to help them. This reveals a big fight. Some powerful people want hard money like gold, but others want digital money they can control. The banks want gold to survive, but the super bosses want digital money. You can win by holding real physical metal. With these new rules, the people who check the banks are coming. They are going to peek inside the vaults to make sure the metal is really there. We think that for years, banks have been lying about what they own. It's like renting a car, but telling your friends you bought it. That is a fib. When the checkers arrive this month, the truth will come out. A bank that cannot prove it has the metal will either have to close or ask for a bailout. Also, the people who dig the metal out of the ground, the miners, might stop selling to the public. They will sell directly to the big banks instead. If a giant bank needs millions of ounces of silver, they will just buy the whole year's work from the mine. This leaves nothing left for companies like Apple or Tesla, and nothing for your local coin shop. The supply will get very tight. The rule technically starts Monday, but the market acts like it is already happening. The smart money is not waiting for the year 2026. They are getting ready now. By the time this news is on every TV, the price of silver will probably be huge. Basel is the thing that forces the money system to be honest. And honest money means much higher prices. The banks are buying and big countries are buying too. History is repeating itself. In 1933, the government took people's gold. In 1971, they stopped using gold so they could print as much money as they wanted. Now they are bringing gold back to save the system. Every time the rules change like this, a lot of money moves from one group to another. The people who only had paper lost everything. But the people who had real metal kept their power. This rule change is a signal that the world is running back to the safety of real things. Why now? Because the banks know they cannot stop prices from going up without making the economy crash. So they are changing the definition of safe by making gold and silver the new anchors. They are building a new base for the money world that can survive a long time of high prices. If the banks are protecting themselves with metal, you should probably do the same thing. For 40 years, bonds were the safest thing. But now, gold is just as safe. This means trillions of dollars will move out of bonds and into gold and silver. If just a tiny bit of that money moves into silver, the price will double in one night. You might have heard people whisper about a global reset. This is it. It is not a big explosion. It is a series of boring rules that change who has the power. It moves us away from a system where only the US dollar matters to a system where real things matter. The West is losing ground to the East because countries like China have a lot of metal. The rules are signed and the banks are moving. The chance to get in before the big groups is disappearing fast. Once the banks start buying everything, you will not be able to afford it. Do not wait for the news to tell you what to do. Look at what the banks are buying, not what they are trying to sell you. Follow the money. But while they buy gold, they are also building a sword to attack your privacy with digital money called Project Icebreaker. It is a trap to lock you in. So make sure you learn how to opt out before it is too late.